David Finch works in a world of fantasy where nothing is real.
I would like to describe it as larger-than-life superhero, action-oriented artwork.
Chalkmaster Dave works on crowded city streets where skeptics abound.
Some people can't dig it. That's okay. They're not at my level of awesome.
While Nicole Lowe works in a world full of trust, love, and intimacy.
Get really, really close to people. You know, you're touching people all day.
When the citizens of Gotham City need help, they call for Batman. When DC Comics needed someone to draw the Dark Knight, they turned to David Finch.
Batman has been a dream of mine. Ever since I decided I wanted to draw comics, I always knew that I wanted to draw Batman, and I hoped that I would get the opportunity.
He not only got the opportunity, he ran with it. During his 20-year career, David has drawn every major comic book character and worked for the biggest publishers in the business: Top Cow, Marvel, and now DC. It's an impressive resume, but if you had met him in high school, you never would have predicted David succeeding in any field.
When I was a teenager, I had a pretty rough time. I was kicked out of school, high school, twice, I think. And to this day, I actually have a grade 10 education. I never finished grade 11. I really struggled with school. I never went, and I failed my classes just from not paying attention. It just really wasn't where my head was, and I didn't know actually what I wanted to do with my life.
That's when his mom gave him an ultimatum.
I think I was about 21, and she could see that I was drawing in the basement. She was very concerned that I was getting older, and I had no education, and so she said I had 3 years total to try and make drawing comic books work, and if I could do it within that amount of time, she would support it. Otherwise, I would need to go back to school. I went to quite a few conventions trying to get work, and I went to New York. My mother brought me, and Top Cow had a table at the convention, and so I showed somebody that was just working the booth my work, and she showed it to the editor of Top Cow for years and years, and they gave me a call a couple of days later and said they wanted me to come down, and so I got a plane ticket, and they said, you know, we'll set you up with an apartment. I got there, and there were 5 other artists in this tiny apartment. It was a disaster. There were people sleeping in the living room. It's how you start. We were all young, and we were just happy to be there.
In those early days with Top Cow, David learned a lot, including that there is more to comic books than pretty pictures.
I think storytelling in general is something that doesn't naturally just come to somebody. It's something that needs to be learned, and a lot of young artists really concentrate on the artwork itself and not actually flowing that artwork from panel to panel and telling a specific story. I've really learned the benefit of working with a great writer. It makes such a difference, and really, as pretty as I can make a comic, if it's just pretty pictures, it doesn't really go very far. It doesn't have much value.
After 7 years at Top Cow, it was time to move on. So he approached the editor-in-chief of Marvel Comics.
Marvel really is the biggest company with the most popular characters. I did a couple of covers, a couple of little short stories, and we had a great run on X-Men. A couple years later, we went on to Avengers.
Working for Marvel gave David the chance to bring his signature style to some of the greatest characters in the genre.
I love Wolverine. I love Spider-Man. It was a bit of an off character for me because I generally like darker, maybe a little more angry, serious characters. It's something that I feel more comfortable drawing. And Spider-Man is really, he's a bit of a jokester, and he's a lighter character. It's a lighter book.
David's characters contain elements of both realism and fantasy.
I like to describe it as larger-than-life superhero, action-oriented artwork. I certainly studied anatomy. I didn't study real anatomical names or, I have no medical background, but in order to draw the human body well, you really need to study where all the muscles go.
After 9 years at Marvel, there was still one thing left on his to-do list.
I just knew that I always wanted to do Batman. It was something always in the back of my mind that it's there, but there comes a time when I just felt like it was right for me to pursue it. And I actually emailed DC. I had been talking, it wasn't completely like a cold call, but yes, I absolutely wanted to do it, and I absolutely approached them for it.
That aggressive approach paid off, and now David's pencil work defines one of the most legendary superheroes of all time.
Batman was created in 1939, and how many years is that, 70, 80 years? It's an honor to work on a character that has so much history, and really, there are so many very, very important artists in the field that have worked on Batman in the past, and I feel like I'm kind of, walking in their footsteps a little bit and hopefully doing the character justice. Comics are a great medium because they really allow for different creators to create very different visions of characters. And Batman is a character that really can kind of withstand a really dark vision and something that's very angry and gritty and shadowy, or something that's really cartoony. And I think coming onto a character like that, you can really express whatever it is creative you want to express.
David's passion for his art is tempered by concerns about the industry as a whole.
Little kids aren't buying comics the way that we would like, truthfully, and it's become a real problem for us. There was a time, really through most of comics history, when they were for kids, and kids would buy them for 10 cents, just at the newsstand. They would read them and they would throw them away. And now comics really are read by guys my age, guys in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and I think most of our audience is really comprised of guys that used to buy comics when they were kids, and it's reliving your childhood a little bit.
The silver lining is that older fans have more money. Original drawings of David's cover art can easily fetch $8,000 a page. He's drawn thousands of comics featuring hundreds of characters. But there is little doubt about which superhero David would call if he was in trouble.
Batman really is, for me, I think that years from now I'll look back on it and say, okay, this was the time for me in this business. I don't know that I'll ever be able to match it again.
David Finch works alone in his basement studio. Chalkmaster Dave works at the busiest intersection in the country, where 30,000 people walk past him every day.
Doesn't matter if you're Jewish or Muslim, black, white, tall, skinny, fat, rich or poor. Once I got a good picture going, there's like tons of people standing around from all walks of life, and they're all just giggling.
Dave Johnston makes his living on the streets, literally.
I draw pictures on the sidewalk with chalk. It's like taking hopscotch to a whole new level.
Some people think he's homeless, a bum begging for change.
They'll throw a toonie in my bucket, and then be like, I hope you find somewhere to stay tonight. And I'm like, oh.
While he still relies on coins in a bucket, Dave also works for a paycheck. He uses his art to lend a bit of street cred to brand name products.
I got lots of corporate clients that I've been working with. Disney, Nike, Just for Laughs Festival.
It's an incredible success story for a guy that only started drawing because he fell in love with a Swedish exchange student.
I met this girl, I was 20, and she was awesome. She moved back to Sweden, and I was like, I love you, because we all know everything when we're 20, so I knew for sure I was in love. So I started drawing on the sidewalk. I was like, need money to get to Sweden, and people were tipping me. Made the money, went there, she dumped me, and then I came back. And I thought, I'll just do this until I find a job. At first, it was a great way to get by until I figured out what I was going to do. But as it became, I guess, more powerful in the sense that I could make a living and got to meet people, I started to realize this was my calling. It was my lifestyle. It wasn't just a temporary thing. It was something that I was becoming.
What he became was Chalkmaster Dave, a legend on the streets of Toronto for the last 20 years.
Millions, actually, over the years, have given me either pennies, nickels, dimes, hired me for gigs. But if it wasn't for the average person walking by like this, I'd be absolutely nothing. I'd just be some guy drawing on the sidewalk.
His drawings are bold. They have to be because they don't hang in a gallery. They have to compete with all the color and noise of a busy city street.
I do anything from pop culture like Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, superheroes, to classical art. I'm also doing 3D sidewalk art these days, you know, like Pits of Doom and stuff like that. I do this 3D wishing well, and people will actually throw money right on the sidewalk making wishes, which is awesome. If you see the wishing well, you know it was me.
Dave's passion is drawing for regular people, allowing them to decide if his art is worth a small bit of their hard-earned cash. But soon local businesses started paying him to draw near their front doors to attract customers. Those jobs opened the door for bigger clients.
The first time Nike hired me, I thought that was kind of cool, but it wasn't a very big gig, but it was enough to go, ooh, I'm good enough. And then I think maybe actually no, when Disney, that was kind of cool. They asked me to do a painting.
Dave paints with chalk. He uses a wet brush to give the drawings a softer look. It's also his way of creating new colors. A wet brush is fine, but rain, that's a showstopper.
The thing is, with this temporary art form, you have to accept that if you start and it starts raining, that's part of the process. You just suck it up, move on, wait till the next day, right?
That's true for Dave's drawings and his life.
I want every moment to count. I want it to be good and fun and beautiful, and I want it to be almost excessive. I want it to just be memorable. I want on my deathbed to be able to go, oh my, I can't believe I did that. Like, that was amazing. Every moment here should be cherished because it is temporary. And that's what I think about the art as well. It is only here for a moment, one good rain and it's gone. Or you just walk away. All you've got left is a memory.
Sidewalk art isn't universally loved. Lots of people just ignore it.
They feel art is something that you must own. You must be able to purchase They don't understand that art is not a product. It is a living, breathing thing almost. And when you do sidewalk art, it's not just about the finished piece. It's about the people that are coming together. It's about the reactions. It's about the energy, the feel of it all. I'm showing them that art is a process, and I welcome them into it. Some people can't dig it. That's okay. They're not at my level of awesome. Crouch, little.
The hours are long. Summer heat can be brutal. But Dave loves his craft, and he has no intention of walking away.
I guess I could go work somewhere scratching out cartoons for somebody, but I like doing my own thing, and I like meeting the people. I find the people themselves are inspiring. Now put your right arm in a little more. Perfect. Now, okay. Now do the thing. You'll get a crowd of people from all walks of life. Doesn't matter if you're Jewish or Muslim, black, white, tall, skinny, fat, rich or poor. Once I got a good picture going, there's like tons of people standing around from all walks of life, and they're all just giggling at what I wrote down, and they're smiling at the artwork, or if it's a 3D piece, they're all posing with it, right, you know? And all of a sudden, all their problem, they just forgot about them all. They're just like, they're just together. And it sounds a little idealistic, but it's an awesome feeling to be a part of that, to embrace that, and know that you're a part of that. You're a catalyst to something good. And I like that. I really like that a lot.
Chalkmaster Dave's art is temporary. Nicole Lowe's is permanent. It becomes a part of your body, forever connecting you with a moment in time.
It's not just drawing on people. It's kind of like a way of life. You sort of live and breathe tattooing. It's quite an intimate thing. It's like a diary. Your body's like a diary. When you look at things, you remember times and places and where you were, who you were with. It sort of becomes a little diary of your life.
Today, Nicole Lowe is a world-famous tattoo artist and the only female star of the hit TV show London Ink. But at 18, she was just a girl trying to sell her designs to a local tattoo shop.
The guy there just sort of fell in love with me, I think, really, and obviously saw a little bit of potential, and he offered me a job because his receptionist was pregnant and leaving, so he needed someone there, and offered me an apprenticeship, and I was just really in the right place at the right time. After 2 or 3 years, I was tattooing. It was really scary. He would really kind of push me into it because I still didn't think I was ready, you know. Yeah, I'm so glad he did.
Right from the beginning, she was unique. Being a woman in an industry comprised mostly of men made her part of a very small club in her native New Zealand.
At that point, I think I was one of 3 in the whole country. So I was kind of really trying to prove a point. Like, a lot of the guys weren't really supportive and gave me a bit of stick and stuff like that. So I really was out there to prove a point for the girls, you know.
She spent 5.5 years as an apprentice before paying her dues and honing her craft in various shops around the country. Eventually, she needed a bigger audience, so she packed up and headed for London.
When you came over here, everybody was so nice and just wanted to help you out, and you'd talk about things and how to make things better, or tattoo machines and needles and all this crazy stuff which I never got to talk to anybody about, really.
Nicole probably would have gone on to be a talented but otherwise unremarkable tattoo artist, one of hundreds making a living with needles and ink, if she hadn't decided to go to a tattoo convention in Barcelona.
That's when my whole attitude and my whole idea of tattooing completely changed, and I decided to reteach myself everything I kind of learned. I became much more serious, a bit more focused about what I was trying to do. Just worked a bit harder, put my head down, my ass up, you know, instead of partying so much.
Now this renegade girl is taking the hard edge off tattooing with a decidedly feminine approach. Butterflies, Japanese-influenced birds, and religious images. Nicole isn't just applying these elements to her customers' skin. They've become a focal point for her studio and life.
I probably always did a little bit of sort of classic sort of Marys and stuff, Jesuses and stuff like that back in New Zealand, but it wasn't till I came over here that I really started collecting the art, you know. When I finally got this shop, I got to create this spectacular wall that I have. A bit of a hippie, really.
It was the art, the simple act of drawing pictures to express emotions that drew her into the tattoo business in the first place. And it is the emotional ties with her clients that keeps her in love with the path she's chosen.
It's not just drawing on people, it's kind of like a way of life. You sort of live and breathe tattooing. It's quite an intimate thing. You know, you're touching people all day, so you're really close to people. I love that about the job, and I love just being able to create art every day. I'm just so lucky. I'm really, really lucky.
Nicole's reputation in the tattoo world has risen to where she now charges almost $200 an hour. And with a waiting list that stretches more than a year into the future, there's no slowing down in sight.
Yeah, I'll tattoo until my eyes go, I guess, or my hands, or arthritis or something, I don't know. I don't think I could ever do anything else. I don't know how to do anything else. I've done this since I was 18. I'm gonna be 40 this year.
The medium an artist chooses to work on often reflects who they are as a person. David Finch was a blank slate, a high school dropout drifting without direction, until he discovered his talent for filling a blank piece of paper. Dave Johnston is gritty, weathered, and as much a part of the city as the concrete he covers in chalk. And Nicole Lowe, she doesn't just wear her heart on her sleeve. She puts her faith and soul right on the skin.